Hello, I'm Richard Seltzer. I'd like to share with you my favorite book, The Lizard of Oz, which I self-published 46 years ago. I'm going to read to you the new, improved, expanded edition which I just finished writing and which is not in print. I'll make a separate video for each chapter. The original edition had illustrations by Christin Couture. I'll show you some of those pictures at the end of each video. Chapter 7. The Library. "Man, I'm hungry," said Mr. Newman. "Yes," echoed Miss Shelby. "It's high time we got something to eat." "No problem at all," said Surreal. "Right this way, folks." He walked through a door in the wall. Nobody had noticed the door before, but there it was, wide open. Everybody ran in because they were all hungry. Donnie said, "Gosh, this isn't a restaurant. There's nothing but books." "Here's something," said Kathy. "Miss Shelby, do you have any salt and pepper? I just found the biggest, most delicious-looking piece of bacon in the world." Everybody rushed to get a piece of the bacon. "Cannibals! Barbarians!" hollered the bacon. "Whoever let this horde of ruffians into my library?" Sir Real introduced him. "This is Mr. Bacon, Francis Bacon, the librarian." "Excuse us, Mr. Bacon," said Miss Shelby. We didn't mean any harm. We're just a class on a field trip to Oz, a very educational trip. We're all hungry, and when we asked to wait for the restaurant, this gentleman directed us here. Apparently, there's been a mistake." No mistake at all," insisted Mr. Bacon. "The library is the best place to get food for thought. Help yourselves. We have a wide selection. Some books are to be tasted, others swallowed, and some few chewed and digested." Eugene grabbed the first book in sight, ripped out a page, and started chewing it. "This tastes awful," he said. "Barbarians! Absolute barbarians!" Bacon was sizzling with anger. "Didn't anyone ever teach you how to eat a book?" He picked up a little book from his desk and read. "Once upon a space, there was a time, a cute little time. Her name was Now." "That's how to read a book," he said. "But that's just reading," said Miss Shelby. "That could never satisfy these hungry children." "And why not?" asked Mr. Bacon. "I myself find it very satisfying." "Miss Shelby," hollered Timmy, "here's one about Huckleberry Finn and his dog, Huckleberry Hound." "Hey, get this one," said Eugene. "The Quest for the Golden Fleas. Why would anybody want fleas, even golden ones?" Timmy suggested. "Maybe what they really want is the dog who has the fleas." "What?" asked Eugene. "Maybe he's a golden retriever." Meanwhile, Mr. Newman asked Miss Shelby, "What's all this stuff about books?" "Oh, you wouldn't know, would you? You never learned to read when you were a flower pot head." "What do you mean, read? What's this all about?" "These marks are code for words that together make stories. If you know the code, you can read the stories as if someone were telling them to you. It doesn't matter that you never met the people who write the stories. They could have written those stories many years ago. And if you wrote stories, people might read your words many years in the future. You might say writing and reading is a way to talk across centuries." "Like people and fish talking to one another? Magic?" Miss Shelby laughed in agreement. "Real magic. Everyday magic." "Man, I like this. Every day should be magic. Teach me this magic, please. What does this writing say?" "This one's The Little Prince. It's about a prince who loved a rose, just like Humpty Dumpty loves the little blue wallflower." "I guess there are lots of flower children in the world, but what about this one here?" "I don't know that one, but it says on the cover that it's about King Arthur and Sir Rides-a-Lot and other knights of the merry-go-round table." "And this one? Oh, that's the story Mr. Bacon just read from. It's called Now and Then. And here's another by the same writer called The Lizard of Oz." Soon all the kids were reading. "Miss Osborne," said Donnie, "look at this one. It's about the Trojan rocking horse and how people traded a whole city just for a chance to ride on it." "Rocking horse?" asked Miss Osborne. "Yeah, and here's another one about an amusement park built by the same company. They call it the Oddest Sea, and it looks like it's even better than Disneyland." "The Oddest Sea?" "Yeah, you go sailing from one land to another, and there are wild rides and monsters along the way. There's even a circus island where you not only get to look at the animals, you get to be an animal yourself. Can we go there, Miss Osborne? Can we, please?" "That's new to me, Donnie," she admitted. "I'll have to read up on it." Help me first, Miss Osborne, please, asked Kathy. I've been reading this story about a magic potion that makes you fall in love with the first person you see. I want to find out where I can buy some. Miss Osborne, Gaynor interrupted. Yes? Isn't it wonderful that there are lots of rabbit holes and potholes so people can fall through them to other worlds and have adventures to tell stories about? Nearby, Mr. Bacon and Sir Real were discussing the state of the world. Have you eaten today's news? Asked Mr. Bacon. Yes, and I'm fed up with it, said Sir Real. Things just keep getting wars and wars and more wars. It's hard to say just what it'll all lead to, added Miss Osborne. Only time will tell. Now, Miss Osborne, where did you get that silly idea? Asked Mr. Bacon. You should tell time, not wait for time to tell you. What do you go to school for but to learn to tell time? Miss Osborne didn't know what to say to that. A big bearded man joined them. What's the world coming to? Children and even grown-ups reading fantasy, fairy tales, fables, and legends. You'd think there was nothing serious or important in the world, nothing worth seeing or doing, nothing worth studying and changing. Oh, Miss Osborne, said Sir Real, I'd like you to meet Mr. Marks, a frequent visitor at the library. How do you do, Mr. Marks? Are these your children, miss? Yes, Mr. Mark, they are my pupils. Then why do you let them befoul their minds with mere stories? Why don't you have them read about problems of social and economic injustice? But surely you must admit that stories are important for children, Miss Osborne insisted. Only insofar as they relate to the real world. Mr. Marks? Asked Mark. Yes, son. Are you one of the Marx brothers? The Marx brothers? You know, the guys who make jokes. No, son, my field is history and economics, and that's no joke. Can you teach me economics? Asked Kathy. Please, Mr. Marks, Mommy says the more economical you are, the more you can buy, and I want to buy lots of things, so I want to learn lots of economics. No, my dear. You mean home economics. That's another field altogether. Oh, do you teach home economics instead? No. You see, economics isn't a matter of what you buy in stores. It deals with work and money and class. We're a class. Yes, but I mean a different kind of class, like the working class. We work hard, don't we, Miss Osborne? You certainly do, she answered. I'm sure you do, Marx continued. I'm talking about a different kind of class, about the economic barriers that determine the kind of life you can lead. But I believe that one day there will be a classless society. Eugene asked, You mean we won't go to school anymore? You'd like that, wouldn't you? Marx replied indulgently. No, I like school. Miss Osborne, they aren't going to stop us from going to school, are they? No, my boy, said Mr. Marx. Nobody's going to stop you going to school. All I mean is that someday there will be justice in the world. Donnie said, You mean the good guys will get goodies and the bad guys will get spanked? Something like that. And everybody lived happily ever after? Asked Kathy. Now look, children, I'm not talking about fairy tales. I'm talking about the real world. You mean you're not talking about the underworld? Asked Donnie. Underworld? You know, Donnie explained. Like in that book, The Odyssey, the place where there are judges and everybody. Just then, the clock struck 2. My goodness, said Miss Osborne, it's late. The school day will be over soon. Come along now, children. We have to get going. But Miss Osborne, said Eugene. It's 2 o'clock, she insisted. If you don't get back quickly, your parents will worry, wondering where you are. Gee whiz, says Timmy. I was just getting to the good part of this story. Now, children, you heard Miss Osborne, said Miss Shelby. It's time to go. Can't we stay a little longer, pleaded Gaynor. Please, added Kathy. I don't want to go any more than you do, said Miss Shelby, but 2 o'clock is 2 o'clock. Thank you very much, Mr. Bacon, Sir Real, and Mr. Mark, said Miss Osborne. It was nice meeting you. Thank you for showing us around. We all had a good time. But Miss Osborne, asked Eugene, what about our trip to Oz and to Ohm? What about the humbug and the disenchantment? Don't we have to save the world? I'm sorry, Eugene, but the world will have to be saved some other day by some other class. You children have to go home. Cindy, don't forget the fishbowl. We don't want to leave Mr. Sherman and Mrs. O'Rourke behind. So Miss Osborne and Miss Shelby pulled the kids away from their books and herded them back to the little green VW, and off they went. 2 teachers, 12 kids, and 2 talking fish in the car, and Mr. Newman riding on the roof. Okay. I'd like to show you one of the pictures. This is Mr. Bacon, Sir Francis Bacon, the librarian. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Please watch the rest of the story. I am making separate video of each of the 27 chapters. Feedback welcome. My name again is Richard Seltzer, as in Alka-Seltzer. My email is seltzer@seltzerbooks.com. All Things That Matter Press recently published 3 novels of mine, Parallel Lives, Beyond the Fourth Door, and Nevermind. You can find those all at Amazon as paperbacks and as ebooks. They can be read in any order. They are independent stories with overlapping theme and styles. Each presents a different view of reality, a different way of trying to make sense of the mysteries of life.